again, everyone. I'm excited for this one. Thank you again for joining us at Franchise Vibes. I am Tamika Franklin, your favorite go-to person when it comes to franchising. And today I'm excited because the vibes that we're on is care and compassion vibes, building a legacy and how this next business is changing lives. So we're going to be speaking today with Carol Toffolon, and she's the Director of Development for Griswold Home Care. So let's welcome Carol. I'm happy to have you here today. This is one of my favorite industries, honestly, to show my candidates. So just for those of you, I haven't done this in a while, that maybe this may be the first time you're watching me. So I am a franchise consultant or broker, as known in the industry, and I assist you with owning your own business in the franchise industry. And I like to highlight brands that you don't normally think about when you think about franchises. And there's so many that taps right into that passion. So today we have the pleasure of doing that. So I would like to welcome you again, Carol, and please introduce yourself and tell us more about your journey into becoming the the director of franchise development for Griswold Home Care.
Thank you so much, Tamika. So flattered and honored to be here with you today. I've been very excited to speak about Griswold because there's so many reasons that I was very, very personally drawn to the brand, and love that you're doing a segment on compassion and care. I think that it is just such an integral part of Griswold. And me personally, as many people, there's always usually a story behind why somebody gravitates to an opportunity. And for me, it's a very personal story, one that I think many of your listeners may actually share with me. And so my sweet father, my hero, was diagnosed with dementia several years ago, and it was just a really heartbreaking journey for my siblings and I, and certainly as well for my mother. And so it was a very pivotal time for our family because we had to make some really difficult decisions, right? And I think everyone, has experienced or may even be experiencing their parents or grandparents getting older. And so we had to make a decision to bring in a caregiver. And so through that experience, I recognized how vital that caregiver was to my father's life and also my mother's life. And so they were an absolute godsend, and my family and I were just so grateful for what they were providing. And so when the opportunity with Griswold presented itself, it was just at this unbelievable transition in my family's world. And I was very, very drawn to the brand because I had lived what we are actually providing to all of the people in the communities that we serve. So that is my story as far as why I was so drawn to the brand. So very personal connection there with the brand and what we provide.
So let's get into more about this brand. I do know that Griswold Home Care was born out of Dr. Jean Griswold's personal desire to help her community. Can you tell us more about her story and how it continues to shape the company's mission today?
Absolutely. So Dr. Jean Griswold she was a pioneer in the home care industry. And so we have actually been in the industry 42 years, which is a milestone for us. But back in the early 80s, Jean was very involved in her community, and she found out about a woman that had passed away from dehydration. And she was devastated by that, absolutely devastated. And so she just could not understand how somebody in the modern world could pass away from dehydration. And so, come to find out, this woman didn't have a close family nearby. She didn't have people checking in on her. So it really inspired Jean to get together some like-minded women, and they became overnight sitters. And this was in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, which is where our home office is. But Jean recognized that the need was so vast for this type of service that is really what inspired her to start the business. And so that is something that we like to say Jean's spirit is still within our business. She's no longer with us, but we certainly carry on her legacy because this company was built on compassion and empathy and true care and concern for those in our community that need our service. And so that's something that myself and all of my colleagues, we are all very committed to being sure that that stays a true part of the essence of the brand.
Yes, and you know what? That actually transitions pretty well into my next question because it's about the fact that the home care industry has grown tremendously since 1982. And as the pioneer in the non-medical home care franchising, how has Griswold Home Care maintained its leadership and innovation in the market over the years?
Yeah, so that is such a great question, right? It's kind of a multifaceted answer here that I'm going to provide to you. But as far as, so I think and actually it's a great segue because both of those, the answers I'm going to provide to you, they're actually differentiators, what makes us truly stand out as a brand. So
Which
first,
transitions well into the next question. So that's
yeah,
great.
exactly. Okay. Keep it flowing. But yeah, so as far as leadership, so one of the biggest differentiators with the Griswold brand is the fact that our leadership team, they all have years of home care experience, right? So expertise, it not only benefits our franchise owners, right, that are within the system, it also benefits the clients that we're serving, right? Because with that experience comes knowledge, with that experience comes overcoming obstacles in the industry, right? Because we've been in the industry for so many years. And the other piece is really technology. We are a very, very tech-enabled organization, and that is another huge differentiator. So our technology suite of platforms that we utilize are second to none in the industry. I'll touch super briefly because it's such cool technology. I love technology. I think it's vital for a business to
It
thrive
is.
because
Absolutely.
I think we all recognize that technology, every day something's changing in the world of technology, right? And so one of the platforms that we are really, really launching within our system is called Sensi AI. And how that platform works is it's AI, it's artificial intelligence. And some of us kind of shy away from AI, but you know what? It's here. So we have decided we're going to embrace it and we're going to utilize it in ways that can benefit our clients. So this is a technology that's put in the client's home, and it's fascinating what it can accomplish. So it can actually sense movement, body movement. So let's say there's a senior in the home and maybe it's sensing that there hasn't been any movement in the home,
Mm,
right? For maybe 24 hours. That could indicate a fall. That could indicate that that person has fallen and that they are going to need help. Or it could detect something the complete opposite. There's movement all the time, middle of the night, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, right? That could mean that's a senior that's having some issues with, incontinence or, getting up too much in the middle of the night, right? So this is a fascinating technology that is helping us provide even more in-depth service to the seniors in our community. So it's really incredible technology.
that is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm actually really amazed. And you know what? I'm glad that you did touch on that because these are some of the things that when I'm guiding candidates through the process is to listen for. You know what? You want to listen for differentiators. What is it that the brand is doing? You know, the fact that they adaptable and things of that nature. So this, that's amazing to me. Amazing technology. So yeah, so that transitions well. As I said, the next question was going to be about something that differentiates you. And I know that Griswold Home Care is endorsed by Home Care Pulse as the best of home care national provider. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, happy to. And that is something that we are really proud of because so Home Care Pulse is a benchmarking company. And so what they do is they are surveying and interviewing not only our clients, but also our caregivers, right? So what that speaks to is it speaks to the high level of customer service that we're providing to our customers, but it also speaks to the culture that we are creating for our caregivers, right? Both of those are essential to the success of our franchise owners. Our business model is not overly complicated, but the two essential elements to the success of our owners is exceptional customer service and also creating a culture that is inspiring to the caregivers, right? Because those caregivers are vital to our success. And
Mm.
so by showing them that we care enough about them to interview them and ask them how their experience is, how is the culture, how is the work environment, that makes them recognize the fact that we value them as employees. So we're very, very proud of that. We're very proud of that recognition.
Yeah, I do want to dive in a little bit more into the franchisee experience in a minute. But first, still speaking about the franchisees, what specific advantages do they receive in terms of territory size, maybe royalties and support? How does this compare to other home care franchises?
Great question. So first and foremost, our territories are protected territories. So they're exclusive territories. They're extremely robust in size. And so the minimum population in our territory is 250,000. And the minimum senior population is 25,000. Now, usually those do even skew a little bit higher, but we are taking into consideration a multitude of demographics. So we're looking at obviously the number of 65 plus. We're also looking at the veteran population, right? We look at the veteran population of 65 plus. We're looking at median household income. So there's a lot of factors that go into us being sure that every territory is going to provide a robust opportunity for profitability and for scalability, right? Because this is a very, very scalable model. As far as support, I think you mentioned royalties as well, so I'll hit on that very quickly. Royalties are very modest in our model. So they're 4.5%, and that even includes the general marketing fund. So again, those are our royalties, and the marketing is
Okay.
included in that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then as far as support, so exceptional support. And again, I have to acknowledge the team that I am just so blessed and fortunate to work beside every single day. Again, the support starts from the moment that a potential candidate signs their franchise agreement. Within 24 hours, they are working with our team. In the
Hmm.
home care industry, they're going to be going down two tracks at the same time. So they're going to be working on licensure. Majority of states, they'll need a license. And then they're also going to be working with our operations team. One of the things that I think is another huge differentiator with Griswold is Matt Erickson is our senior director of operations, and he's exceptional at what he does. He's been in the home care industry for years, but he and his team, their number one goal and priority from a support perspective is getting our owners to break even within 6 to 9 months. And that's an aggressive goal, but 80% of our new owners are achieving that goal. So we are very, very proud of that. And our support never goes away. So not only are they getting support with compliance team for the licensure, then they have the operations team that's helping them every step of the way. They get their own franchise business coach. We have an exceptional marketing team, a tremendous training and development team. So truly every facet. And then of course we have the technology suite, right?
Hmm.
We look at technology as we want their back end to be seamless and efficient so they can focus on growing the business, right? Developing those relationships in the community. So that is why we're so passionate about making sure that everything is efficient and streamlined for them.
Great, great. So what I also want to talk about, still staying with the franchisee experiences. So the model seems to appeal to a wide range of franchisees from various professional backgrounds. What would make an ideal franchisee, and how does Griswold support new franchisees, especially those who might not have the direct home care experience?
Love that question for numerous reasons. So we actually there we welcome all backgrounds. We welcome all professional backgrounds. You do not have to have a medical experience to be extremely successful in this model. Certainly, if somebody has nursing experience or home health aide experience, of course, that's going to be beneficial. But I will share with you, and I think you will greatly appreciate this, and hopefully your listeners will as well. there is a couple that's a husband and wife team. They just won our Diamond Award, right? So that is like top of the top of the top of the top, right? But their backgrounds zero to do with medical.
Mm,
Or the wife was a hairstylist and her husband was graphic design. So again, nothing, it is
awesome.
more what is most important to us. And I think this ties in well to the beginning of the first part of your question, which was who makes an ideal candidate for us, right? We are looking for people that have that same empathy and compassion that Jean had when she founded this business. That is
Mm,
what is very important to us. Also, we look for folks that they enjoy connecting with their community. They
mhm,
enjoy developing relationships. They like to be out there meeting and greeting, right? The mayor of the community, right? Because they're going to be working with hospitals and doctors' offices and rehab facilities, right? So anybody that has that, really outgoing personality that enjoys that. We also look for folks, obviously, right, that have leadership skills, people that are, excited about being in a business where they are going to be hands-on, right, in
mm.
the business. We do look at semi-absentee. That may be one of your questions. So hopefully
Yeah, it's coming up.
I'm not stealing the thunder, but we prefer, right? Most franchisors love it when the owners are owner operator and they're in it. But
Mhm,
certainly there are circumstances where some folks, they're looking for that semi-absentee, and we certainly will entertain that as well. But in a semi-absentee, when a candidate is preferring semi-absentee, they would have to have an operating partner, right? That has some skin in the game, because we want to look out for them as well. We want to make
mhm,
sure that the business is going to grow and that the folks that are involved in the business are really in it to win it, right? That they're going to really give it their all. So we will definitely entertain it as far as
mhm.
semi-absentee. But yeah, we definitely love when owners are all in, hands on.
Yeah, and I can more than appreciate everything that you said, because my whole goal, and my job is to understand what your goals are, what's your transferable skills, what are the things that you really like doing, and try to align that with a franchise business that's going to align with you and be successful, have you be successful.
Yeah.
And the key thing that you said that I also try to explain to individuals or explain on my presentations are about the fact that you would be surprised. You do not have to have the exact experience, to own a particular business. And that's why I really hone in on those values. It's about your skills, it's about as you said, your passions and things of that nature. It takes a little bit more than that. And when you focus on that, that's when you're really going to find that alignment.
Oh yeah.
Um, you
100%.
also touched on the different types of ownership. That's something that I speak about as well. And what you're referring to as far as a semi-absentee or semi-passive, just for those in the audience that may not know, we're talking about the level of involvement that you have in the day-to-day that you have in the system. And some brands, they want you to be fully day-to-day, and then you would have some brands that are able to have you in more on, I don't want to like to say part-time, but it's not a fully operator as far as in the day-to-day. And that's where the semi-passive ownership comes into. Is there anything else that you want to touch on as far as like maybe what that looks like for you in this brand for owners?
So a full-time owner operator, as the name implies, right? They're going to be in the business 40 plus hours a week. I mean, they are going to really be hands-on many times, right? A full-time owner, they don't have another job. They're
Right.
100% focused on running the business. There are circumstances where some candidates, they have a full-time job and they're just not at the point yet where they want to exit their full-time job 100%. So they want to get involved in a business opportunity. And so what they're able to do is for us in particular, we still want them to have at least 20, 25 hours in the business. Like we want their hands to be in the business. We want them to still have leadership in the business, right? But they bring in what we refer to as an operating partner or a general manager, right? Somebody that is going to oversee the operations when they're not there at the business, right? So it's really somebody that is really stepping in when they are not present in the business, right? And so it just, again, it ensures the success of their business, right? Because any new business, we all know this, when you start a new business, it's those first 6 to 9 months that are essential for that business to be successful, right? That is when so much of the development of your team, your staff, your culture, right? Everything is being built at that point. And that's why we still want them to have their hands in the business, right?
Right.
Their face has to still be present for those employees, right? So that's for our brand as far as kind of the semi-passive approach.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So let's kind of get into the industry itself, right? So the home care industry is growing as our population ages. Where do you see the biggest opportunities in non-medical home care in the non-medical home care sector? And how is Griswold Home Care positioned to take advantage of them?
So honestly, again, I really feel technology
Yeah.
biggest advancement that we are seeing in home care, as I just explained earlier with that artificial intelligence that we're looking into, right? I mean, I think there's just so much that we are being so proactive when it comes to keeping up with those technology trends, right? Another huge aspect of this model that we are always staying ahead of is retention. So
Mm,
many times, no matter what the industry is, folks will always ask about hiring and retaining employees, right? And especially in the medical industry, right? I mean, there's just a lot of competition, right, with employees and keeping them. But another thing, again, that we always stay ahead of is a great example to that is we have the Jean Griswold Foundation, where we provide scholarships to caregivers within our organization. And I think that ties in so well to this segment as far as
mhm,
compassion and care, right? Again, we want our caregivers to know how essential they are to the success of our business. And so year to date, we have awarded over 100 scholarships to caregivers. And what's nice about this program is it's the owners, it's our franchise owners that are submitting their caregiver to possibly be the recipient of one of these
Oh, wow.
scholarships. That's another huge thing that we do to stay
Okay.
ahead of that retention. And then just real quickly, another really great program that we have also, it's a point system for our caregivers where they get to build up points and then they get to hand it in for gift cards. That program might sound simplistic, but that has increased our retention by 23%. And we have a 90% participation with our caregivers. So
Wow.
again, we're always looking for opportunities for growth within not only obviously the revenue streams, of course, but all of this is going to help with that, right?
Yeah.
It's like a wheel in motion where we're making sure that every touch point, everybody that we're touching within our day to day is a part of growing the business, right? And that's something that we're really passionate about. And I think again, right, it ties into that compassion and care. We're not only caring about the clients that we're serving, we care about people that are in our family, right? In the Griswold system. So
Mm. I love that because that taps into the culture. And then, I'm going to ask actually a question about the culture, but that, I think that that also taps into the culture, and that's very, very important, especially nowadays, right?
yeah.
So, um, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges facing the home care industry today? I know you touched on one. And how does Griswold help its franchisees overcome those obstacles?
So that is such a great question. And there's probably a handful of really obstacles and challenges in the industry. And I'm going to focus on two of them. So the first one is workforce shortages, right? I think any type of a service industry, that could be certainly a challenge. But again, and I know we mentioned this earlier in our conversation, at Griswold, one of the ways that we overcome that is we are hyper focused on retention. So we have many, many platforms in place that help with retention as well as hiring. So we have a technology piece in place that helps to efficiently hire the best caregivers. And then we also have a program in place to help retain our caregivers, right? So we have that program in place with gift cards. We have a program in place that allows us to provide them with scholarships, right? So we are very, very, very focused on our caregivers and making sure that we're helping our franchise owners with both hiring and retention. Secondly is regulatory, right? So regulatory and compliance challenges. So if somebody were to try to go into a home care business by themselves, this would be extremely difficult to overcome. But with Griswold, because we have such an incredible compliance team, they are helping our owners out of the gate. From day one, we have a compliance team that is going to help them with their licensure, and they're also going to help them anytime when it comes to regulations, right? Anything that's up and coming in the industry. That is why we have a compliance team that is going to be there to support our owners. And then one more really quick thing is quality of care, right? But again, with Griswold, we are very, very focused on providing the absolute best service to our customers and clients, and then also even technology integration. But again, I know that I have spoken to this point already, that we are hyper focused. We have a very robust technology suite, and our owners obviously have access to all of those tools. So certainly many obstacles, but we overcome all of them.
So, you know what? So, speaking of like compassion and things of that nature, what I'm thinking about is the fact of being that Griswold is grounded on compassion or grounded in compassion. And that's a value that can be hard to maintain as a company scale. How do you ensure that every franchise location remain committed to this core principle of compassion, no matter how big the company grows?
I love that. So another big element to our brand, and I think this can be an obstacle in other brands, but is our level of communication is exceptional. So communication is always the key to success, right? So
Oh,
we are constantly having open lines of communication with our franchise system. And so what I mean by that is every month we have a town hall where every leader in our organization speaks to the system as a whole, right? But they're also constantly speaking about where we are with the Jean Griswold Foundation, any type of events that we are sponsoring as a brand, right? So we are constantly in front of our owners, letting them know how important it is for us to do give backs, right? To be philanthropic in nature. We also talk about some of those, even those technologies of us wanting to provide the most exceptional care to our clients. That in and of itself speaks to how much we want to carry on Jean's vision of helping people and providing the best service that we can. And I really think that it's through those communication pieces that we are constantly offering webinars and training sessions. We offer opportunities for them to come to Bluebell, right? And to experience our team and events that we're doing that are benefiting the community. So there's just constantly conversations going on in and around that piece of care and compassion, and making sure that, again, everything that we're doing has that at the core of what we do.
awesome. So during the process, I tend to sit in on some of the calls with the potential candidates as well. And one of the things that I always try to make sure that they do, or make sure that I step up and ask for, is just to get an understanding of what this particular brand process looks like, what's the next steps and things of that nature. So for potential franchisees that are exploring this business, what should they expect during the discovery process? And what are some of the key things they should consider when deciding if this business, if this franchise is right for them?
Good question. So our discovery process, it's pretty succinct. We're not gonna make folks jump through 100 hoops before they get the FDD, or, here's one thing that I definitely want to share. I look at what I am very fortunate to do. I love what I do. I love it for two reasons. Not only am I helping aspiring entrepreneurs, which I absolutely love to do, but I also know that if and when, they make a decision for themselves, my whole goal is guiding them and educating them, right? So if they go with Griswold, we celebrate. But even if they come to find out they go with a different opportunity, we still celebrate, right? Because they gave themselves permission to go through the different processes. But as far as for Griswold, they'll have an initial phone conversation with me, and then we'll do what's called a brand presentation. It's a deeper dive into the support and everything that they will receive being part of the system. Then we will disclose them. We will send them the franchise disclosure document. After they've had an opportunity to review that, we have a call scheduled with our Chief Operating Officer, Steve Turner. He'll meet the candidate, answer any questions that they may have about the FDD. And then after that, we put them into validation, right? You and I both know how vital validation
Oh,
is.
yeah. I was
And
waiting for that.
yeah, exactly. And we have very strong validation. So our owners love to speak to potential new candidates that are looking at this opportunity. So, and for those of your viewers that may not know, validation is an opportunity to speak to current owners and the system and hear about the day in a life, right? That's something that there's no better person to speak to them about that than somebody in our system, right? So they'll go through validation, and then after validation, if both parties, right? Because it's really almost like we're dating each other. I know it sounds funny, but they're getting to know us and we're getting to know
Yep.
them. So if at that juncture, after they've validated with owners that we're both parties are excited, we will give them a personal invitation to come to Bluebell, to our home office, and have a discovery day where they will have the pleasure of meeting our entire executive team. They will have one-on-one time with every member of that team. They will have one-on-one time with the CEO, the CFO, our VP of marketing. So it's a phenomenal day. And then, yeah, after discovery day, our team has a nice, kind of conversation, little meeting. And then if all goes well, we will send them their franchise agreement. So
Right.
pretty succinct process, but enjoyable at the same time, right? We
Right.
make it very positive and collaborative, because at the end of the day, we want them to feel comfortable. We want
Yep.
them to know that there's no silly question, that there's nothing, where we're friends, right? We want them to know that they can really ask and get as much information and take as much time as they need, right? Because it's a really big decision for people. So they'll never
Mhm.
be pressured, they'll never be rushed. They will be able to take as much time as necessary for them to make the best decision for their family.
You know what? I like that. And as we wrap up, and I do want to get like your final thoughts on
Mhm.
maybe what's the best thing that you like about it, or just whatever your final thoughts are. Um, just off of what you just said, like what advice would you give to aspiring franchisees who wants to make a meaningful difference through business ownership?
I think that the best piece of advice that I can give to folks is truly to do their due diligence, right? Because starting a business is obviously, right, as we all know, it's a very, very big decision. And I think that so many of the folks that I speak with are at a crossroad in their lives, right? And it's twofold. It could be somebody that has, this desire to transition out of corporate. They've kind of had their years in corporate and now they want to do something for themselves, right? And many people, they want to do something meaningful in the business that they're looking at. They want to do something where they feel like they're giving back, right, to their community. And I think those are really the folks that this would be an ideal fit for. But also too, I think I always recommend that when folks are at that crossroad, that they give themselves permission. Like, give yourself permission to go through the process with Tamika, right? Like, give yourself that permission to, like, explore. I mean, there could be something out there that you've never thought about, that and it could be something that turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. Because sometimes, right, we can kind of let apprehension and maybe fear, like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this. You can do anything. There's nothing any of us cannot do if we like commit to it. So I think that's something, is just giving yourself that opportunity to learn and to explore business ownership, because when you find that right fit, nothing is going to bring you probably as much joy as being successful in your own business with the support, right, of a great franchisor. So I think that would really be my advice. And for somebody that was an entrepreneur by themselves, I can tell you I am a huge supporter and advocate of the franchise model. It works, and it is something where the support that you get and being a part of this collaborative family where everybody wants to support you and help you, there's nothing else like it. There's just nothing else like it.
You know what? I can't think of a better way to end it. And I just want to, just full disclosure, I did not tell her to say this, guys. Like,
Yeah, she
this
did
was
not. It just
panic.
what I was feeling. It's true. It's just really, truly, I'm just really passionate about helping people just like you are. And I think that's why it's very nice to collaborate with like-minded people, because at the end of the day, I think you and I both, we truly just want to help people. That's something that you know, I know you and I share that in common. So
Yes. And Carol, I just want to say it's been a pleasure. I look forward to, going with you, going through the process with you, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be candidates that's popping in my mind now, actually, that I feel like I should introduce, so of course, if anyone who is interested in this business, definitely make sure that they reach out to me, and we'll go ahead and get that process started if everything that's said tonight really spoke to you. So again, Carol, thank you so much for your time. I'm so glad I met you when I did and got
I
you in here
know,
to be on
I
Franchise
know.
Vibes. It's
I know,
amazing.
it's been a blessing. I have just been looking forward to this time with you. And I thank you again so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And yes, certainly look forward to what the future holds for both of us, and working together, and with hopefully some new fantastic candidates that are gonna give themselves that permission to dream, right?
Exactly. So once again, thank you for joining us today on Franchise Vibes, and until the next time, guys.